Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome to the Live Wonderful photography classes online. How's everyone doing today?
Hi, everybody.
Welcome to episode two of our creative storytelling tips. We started this class on Monday. Hi, Cecilia. Everyone say hi if you're with us today in the chat box.
Everybody.
Everyone say hi. Thank you for coming and joining us. We came to you starting on Monday. We want to bring you guys the real mission behind Live Wonderful. We want to bring it into your everyday lives with your cell phones, or I know a lot of us have those great mirrorless cameras as well. So Alicia and I are coming to you every Monday and Wednesday and Friday to share one great, awesome tip that you can take away with you to go practice. So before we dive into day two and our tip for the day, I want to hear from everyone who's here with us. Who went out and took pictures? Did you take pictures?
No, I didn't. I'm sorry, but I will. I'm actually going today to take pictures.
Yeah, tell us where you're going.
I'm going to a new spot to hopefully use it as a workshop up here, workshop space to do our DSLR classes. It's a very creative space, so I'm gonna check it out.
Awesome. Yeah, so she's up in the Boston area. You said this this creative space is in New Hampshire?
It's in New Hampshire, yeah.
Very cool.
Close to the coast, so yeah, it's gonna be very cool. It's got an Austin vibe to it. Very creative, lots of paintings, and
I want to see some cool photos. I want to see some.
Yeah.
So I want to get the vibe of like, what would our photo workshops be like up there? Because I saw you sent me
so many opportunities. I feel like with this place, I don't know. Just gonna. It's weird because it's New Hampshire and everything. New Hampshire, like you're in the woods, but it's like a really creative space in the middle of like the suburbs. So.
I love it. I want to see lots of cool perspectives of it, like not just the space, but like as you're coming into it, because I want to get a feel for what it's like. We're gonna go next summer or this summer, guys. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Go to the Northeast, and definitely by the fall, we're gonna be doing some workshops up there. So very exciting. Who else has taken any photos? Has anyone else taken any pictures? I have taken a picture. I took a photo. Anybody taking pictures? Anybody? With your cell phone or with your DSLR? What kind of cameras is everyone working with today? I want to hear from everyone. What are we loving to shoot? What kind of pictures are we shooting? And what kind of cameras are we using? I have the picture I'm about to show you. I took with my DSLR camera with something called extension tube. So it looks like a macro lens that I shot with. So Debbie's taking iPhone shots. Oh, Debbie, I think you have one of those brand new amazing iPhones with all the lenses on it, don't you? Laura, sunset, I love that. Laura, where do you live that you get great sunset photos every night? That is a great subject to shoot every night because it changes constantly, right? Lucia, she took some photos of the sunset too. Awesome. Sandy, she's got that new Lumix mirrorless camera. Have you taken any fun shots with it? Okay, so cell phones, we're all kind of in auto mode, right? Or it feels like it's auto mode. And these next two tips, today's and Friday's, are going to be super helpful, especially when you're thinking about that cell phone camera and you're stuck in auto mode where you can't really control the light as well. Yes, Debbie's got multiple lenses. Yes, I know the Canon mirrorless is better than your iPhone, but it's still fun, right? So a fun thing that you guys could do is if you have two different kinds of cameras and you're taking this shot that you love regularly, like the sunset, or one of my favorite things to do is just stick the lens out the window and shoot the tree with the birds in it. But try it with two different cameras. Try it with different lenses. See what each lens does, or cell phone versus DSLR. See what it gets with the camera. Oh, Wildlife Drive. Is that a Popco Wildlife Drive, Sandy? She's saying she got some great shots of wildlife. Birds in the feeder.
I was just thinking that. I'm like, I'm glad someone said that.
I I will have to post a photo. I have totally gone domesticated with this garden in my backyard, and the bungalow and doing the Airbnb has really set the tone for it. You know, it's made it, you've seen it, Alicia. I keep trying to grow more and more plants and make it beautiful. Well, yesterday, you'll be happy to know, Donna, I put my first bird feeders up. So I looked out my window hoping to see something, but I'm looking forward to
Hummingbird feeders are really cool too.
yeah, I got one.
To shoot hummingbirds is unbelievable.
I'm so excited. I definitely am. I'm looking forward to that. So, so everything that we're shooting, we all kind of have this thing we're relating to, which is nature. And I love that, nature and being outdoors. Nothing against the kids and the pets. We all love the people and animals in our lives. But nature is such an easy way to connect and use your camera and have fun, right? And I know, you know, like you just said, going up to this place up in New Hampshire, you kind of feel like you're getting out of the city, or if you will. So let's kind of think of that as our theme going forward, especially if we're still feeling like we're in this self-isolation mindset and we can't really explore too far. I want everyone, when I'm about to spit out tip number 2, but before I say it, I want everyone to think of this story they're going to create, okay? So sunsets, anything in nature, wildlife, I want you guys to make a challenge for yourself where this thing that you're going to go shoot, you're going to try and use this new tip every day and actually shoot the same subject, but capture it maybe a little differently using these tips, okay? So who's ready for tip number 2? I need sound effects. Where's that?
I could definitely be that person. I just have to be prepared.
All right. So, guys, tip number 2 today doesn't just relate to photography. I want you to relate it to anything that you see that gets you excited, okay? Are you ready? It is, I want you to identify something with all 5 of your senses. So when we think about visual storytelling, talking about our eyeballs, right? And I know last week we talked a little bit about light. So the truth is our eyes are not the only part of our visual sense that we take in. It's actually our entire body and our brain that works together, okay? So when we take the moment, right, this is coming back to being in the moment, trying to let that story unfold. When we come back to being in the moment and we actually identify, what do I see that I'm attracted to? What do I see that's actually in my interest, right? What am I curious about? What do I hear? What do I smell? What do I taste? What do I feel? Okay, so I always come to number 5, the last one, feel. Will allow these 5 senses to completely consume your whole body, and then your mind can step in and start to piece together the moment that's actually unfolding in front of you. So I'll use the sunsets actually as an example. What's the one thing that constantly changes during a sunset? Somebody take a wild guess. It's the same guess that would have been last week's question. It's the only thing the camera sees. What is the one thing that as you're watching that sunset is changing constantly? It's just always changing. Yes, Lucia, light, right? The light is getting darker. So at every given moment that you're going, oh, I see the color in the sky, the next minute it might look different, right? You might hear something, an airplane, a bird, the wind rustling in the trees. So all of these elements, all of these things that are happening that our 5 senses are giving us this experience, we're going to start to identify them and pull them into our visual story. So it won't just be our eyes seeing something. It's going to be all of our senses and then our brain connecting and thinking. It's about feeling first, right? Instead of thinking first. So Alicia, do you have any thoughts on that? Do you have any thing you want to add before I bring up this?
I mean, I feel like I practice this every day. You know what I'm saying? Even just walking my dogs, I try and just listen to the wind, see the light glimmering through the leaves. Like you hear animals, birds, you try and be aware of all of your senses, the smells, everything. So try and practice it every day. When you go outside, when you're inside, whatever you're doing, just practice it. Being more aware of that.
That's a good point. It's something we can practice every day. And, I didn't really associate it with photography until I started meditating and kind of stepping out of my comfort zones, which we've talked about a lot, which can build anxiety and get you a little fearful about things, trying new things. So I would come back to this, okay, count to 5. Like, what do I see? What do I hear? What do I smell? What do I taste? What do I feel? Oh, this is my reality right now. By taking this in, now I can actually make changes and go do something and take pictures or whatever it is that we're doing in that moment.
Right.
And awareness is big. Awareness is key. And it's a constant thing that we're not just as photographers, but anything that you associate with yourself. If you're a parent, if you're a cook, your job, think about how much specific kind of awareness you need to have to do that job well, right? So what does your mom do? Your mom's a teacher, right?
Yeah.
Think about all the different kinds of awareness that you need as a teacher, right?
Absolutely. I mean, we practice it all the time in our classes. So
exactly.
Being aware of what other people are aware of and trying to make them aware of things,
Absolutely.
as you see them as, because you're very capable of doing that. And it brings you to that present moment when you are aware of those 5 senses.
So I mentioned last week, everyone, that my story is going to be about my garden. And I'm going to start, as we go through these tips, I'm going to share stories about my garden from completely different perspectives. So whether it's sunsets or the bird feeders or anything you can think of, start thinking about what is the way that you can dive into this subject and capture it, bring it to life by first paying attention to these five senses. So let me bring up a photo. Let's see if I can bring this up. And I'm actually going to bring up a few photos that are, and this is the key. This is big, guys. They are completely spontaneous. I know it's spinning. It's waiting for us to show that screen. They are completely spontaneous, unplanned photos, and I had to choose to really be in the moment to get them. This was all right, can everyone see my screen now?
I can.
Okay. Alicia, field that chat box for me. See, make sure anybody has any questions, we answer them while we're going through here. Yeah. Please, guys, if you have any questions at all while I'm showing you these photos, please chime in and ask, okay? So this is, I believe, a beautiful monarch butterfly. And I think the whole butterfly, wings and all, were about the size of my palm, right? So it was a pretty big butterfly. But I would have never even if I hadn't taken the time to step back and pay attention to my 5 senses. And I didn't even have a camera in hand when I first did that. So again, getting back to what Alicia said, this is something we can practice every day, right? So I was in my backyard, I was in my garden, and I was actually weeding. And I remember kind of complaining a little bit that my back was hurting. So I stood up, and instead of complaining, which I not many of you know this about me, but as an athlete and someone who's had injuries in the past, my lower back is always a thing. So I always have this frustration when I feel pain. But instead of getting frustrated in that moment, I just stood up, and I kind of went through this regular routine of, okay, let me just take a deep breath and go through my 5 senses. What can I identify with right now? And I had a pile of weeds sitting there, and I kind of smiled. I was proud of myself for getting all those weeds out of my garden. The wind was blowing, the sun, I felt the heat of the sun on my body. So just taking those few moments to stand there, being at a different level, height level, kind of squatting down, I was able to see this butterfly tucked away behind all the weeds I was pulling, and he didn't move. So I didn't move. And I thought about it for a minute. You know, it's one of those moments where you're like, do I have time to go get my camera? Or should I sit here and enjoy it? And so I had a minute with the butterfly. I enjoyed his beautiful fluttering and everything. And then I thought, okay, I now see this moment is here. Let me just try. Let me run inside and get my camera. And I happen to already have on my camera my extension tubes. And if you guys have ever taken our macro classes or seen our camera gear videos, extension tubes are really inexpensive pieces you can attach between your camera body and the lens, and they allow you to create a macro look to your photos without having to buy an expensive macro lens. So I got into those weeds and used the macro lens for the first time on this butterfly. And, getting back to the whole thing of awareness, I had to be quiet. I had to move very slowly, not to startle it. All these things are a part of your full body awareness, right? So, does anyone have any questions? You guys want to know like what kind of settings I used, or do you want to try and take a guess? I know some of us are using DSLR cameras here. Let's see. I'm gonna. Oops, sorry.
Yeah, where they're asking where you can get the extension tubes. You bought yours on Amazon?
Yeah. So and you can type this in, Alicia. Extension tubes are anywhere from. Because they are so inexpensive, guys, I would recommend getting specific extension tubes for your camera. So you can basically type in Canon extension tubes, Nikon extension tubes. And Alicia's going to type that in so you spell extension tubes correctly. They run between 50 and 80 bucks. And mine are downstairs in my camera bag because I was out shooting yesterday. Everything's downstairs. But here's the thing, they're really small. They're stackable. So there's one that's this big, and then this big. And we will be doing a macro photography class here in Orlando on June 13th. We also offer the basic macro class here online. If that's something you guys want to dive into, we definitely can do that. But all you really need to know to have fun with the macro lens, if you're using a DSLR, is put it on a standard portrait lens. Don't put it on your telephoto lens, it won't work right. And don't put it on a wide angle, it won't work right. So anything from an 18 millimeter to 55, yes, Donna, you can use multiple ones at the same time. What it does is, it has no glass in it, but it looks like a lens, and it's hollow on the inside, okay? So all it does is it puts a space between the camera body and the lens itself, and it allows the lens to get closer to the subject. So my camera lens was only about 1.5 inches away from this butterfly, and that's what allows it to look larger than life when you're. So the tubes come in sets of 3. They add millimeter spacing to your lens, allows you to get a closer, it's called focal distance. And it's, I might be jumping ahead here. It'll be a trick question for later, but if you guys stick with us for all of these 12 series. But what the macro lens will allow you to do is it will make you get closer to things than you're used to. And you will literally see life differently. I mean, I lost track of time with this butterfly. Can you guys still see the butterfly? Alicia, can you see it?
Yep.
So, I mean, look at this, guys. And I'm not an expert at macro photography. I understand, we've talked about this before. Alicia and I's background is in, portraits and general photography. Macro photography is an art in itself, nature photography. It's something we're dabbling in. So I get just as excited as a newbie capturing a shot like this as you would and it cost an extra 30 bucks, 40 bucks to add it to my lens. But look at the hairs on his body. Did you ever know that a butterfly was fluffy? I mean,
it is pretty incredible.
And look at the wings. They look like bat wings.
Mm-hmm. Butterflies and hummingbirds and all those little, creatures have always excited me.
Yeah.
Even caterpillars, the story of a butterfly is just mind-blowing.
Yeah. I had a student last week post that she got a caterpillar garden. It's like a pack you can get, and it comes with a caterpillar, and you actually watch it grow and then turn into a butterfly and, cocoon and all. So I'm like, I want one. I want butterflies everywhere. So, I know I said garden, but just so you guys know, I'm putting pollinator plants, vegetables, all kinds of beautiful summer plants here in Central Florida are going into my garden. So I have no idea what I'm going to be shooting, but the goal is by the end of these 12 classes, I'm going to have a series of, visual stories that kind of tell the story of my garden. So who's excited to try out this this idea of tapping into your 5 senses? Who's kind of got an idea of how they're going to play with this, whether it's with sunsets? Lucy is asking what settings I used. So I want to ask you guys, is there anyone here that might have an idea of what settings I use to capture these butterflies? So it's bright and sunny out, right? I am in the garden. He's kind of tucked away in the weeds a little bit in the flowers. But here's a hint when you're taking a guess about these settings, guys. Look at the tone of the colors. Look for your lights and darks. Look for brights and blacks. Look for the light. Remember, the camera sees light. So what kind of light you see in the shot kind of will help you determine what settings we might have used. Alicia doesn't know. Does anyone want? I'm going to give you 10 more seconds to take a wild guess. Somebody take a guess, and then I'm going to make Alicia guess after you guys.
I was just going to say. I know you're going to make me guess.
All right, Donna's typing.
I would love to guess, to be honest, but.
Okay, Donna's got a good point. It was a low aperture for sure. I know I've got some students in here who have taken my class before and know what the setting is. So correct. It is a very low aperture. There, that's who I was looking for, Debbie. You should know what's going on here. How about ISO? Does anyone want to take a guess at what the ISO might have been? Good job. Very low ISO. Mm-hmm. So probably 100 or 200 was definitely my ISO. And another key to a low ISO isn't just that bright sun, but do you see how dark the blacks are? See how he's got that bold darkness to him? That means that my camera wasn't very sensitive to the color, right? So it was a lower ISO with these bolder colors. So, all right, I love it. Debbie said ISO 100, shutter speed 125. Guesses. So I was using I'm going to tell you exactly what I was using. I have a Nikon D850, and I'm using a 24-70 millimeter f2.8. This is my general portrait lens. Alicia and I both live by this lens. So I was all the way down at f2.8. I was zoomed all the way in at 70 millimeters. So those two things together really compress that background and give that blurry look. You see the bokeh circular look in the background. That's that low aperture, like Donna said. But it's also zooming in all the way. So even if you guys don't have low apertures, if you want that look, just zoom in all the way to get your shot, and you'll get that blurry background. My ISO was at 100, and I'm going to take a guess at my shutter speed, but it was probably in the high hundreds, like 500, 600, 700, 800. And I say that because I knew based on, think about the position you're in, right? So if you've ever taken our beginner class, we talk about camera shake and how, we might create blur in our photos. So if I'm all crouched down, like really close inside this tiny little space trying to get this butterfly, I'm not as stable as I normally would be. So I definitely had a little bit of a higher shutter speed. And those faster shutter speeds are making that black a bit darker too. You can see those bold colors with those higher shutter speeds. So good job guessing, guys. All right, I want to hear who's going out today or right now or sunset. Who's going out to take some fun shots tonight? And more than one. Think of this as a photo story, guys. So I want you guys to go out and shoot. Well, what's your subject going to be? Are we going to stick to sunsets? Who's got something else they're going to shoot? And let's dive into those five senses as we practice this. So tip one is remember our why, right? So when you ask yourself why am I taking this picture? Maybe it's because you're bored. Maybe it's because you just need some creative juices flowing. Now you can go straight to tip two. What am I seeing? What am I hearing, tasting, feeling, all of that, okay? Good. Go on your walk tonight. Yeah. Take your camera. Take your cell phone and your DSLR. Try them both out.
You never know. Yeah, you never know what you're going to find on your walk. Yesterday, there were owls, a mother owl and a baby owl in the trees on our dog walk. So, and there was other people with their cameras, you know, being aware of it. So, and I did not have mine. So I was a little jealous. So yeah, bring your cameras on your walks.
Yes, absolutely, guys. So we will, you saw the moon last night. Ooh, the moon at night. So it depends. Diana's asking about moon photography. So I'll give you some quick tips and then we can definitely do a moon shootout. I'll look in when the next full moon is. Last year we had amazing full moons and we did 3 different workshops all about it. I know we had a blast with those. So the thing with moon photography is, remember the moon itself is really, really bright. So a lot of times everyone thinks we need high ISOs. The truth is you don't. You really need a low ISO. What's really important on a moonshot is a zoom lens. You want at least 200 millimeters. Really 300, 400, or 500 is going to be even better. And yes, your extension tubes, if you're looking to go locally here in Orlando, we have Colonial Photo and Harmon Photo you can buy from. You can also rent gear, guys, from lensrentals.com, and locally you can rent from The Lens Pal. That's thelensPal.com. Alicia's typing all that into the chat box. If you want to get your extension tubes for macro photography and you want to get them real quick, Amazon, or where I prefer to buy camera gear is B&H Photo. So it's bhphotovideo.com. And they're just amazing, amazing customer service. So go check it out. I want to leave you guys with some announcements too. So we have our next group class is going to be Friday, okay? And this one's going to be a good one. So remember, all of these tips kind of compound on each other. So just because we're bringing in a new tip on Friday, we can't forget the last 2 tips we've been doing. We're going to bring the tips together at the end. So Friday at noon, we'll be back here. You know, anyone who's interested in learning how to dive into their camera gear, now is the time. Go ahead and share this link with them. It's livewonderful.clickmeeting.com. If you guys are interested in doing or joining us for our group classes, we are open for business, okay? I've gotten a lot of emails asking when we're starting things up again. The classes are up to date on the website. So I'm going to show you guys actually, if you've got a few more minutes, I want to show you what we have coming up. And then we have some exciting news. Alicia got her flight booked yesterday. So we are going to be putting together a workshop while she's here in town as well. So let me share my screen again. And hold on a second. We are going to go to, we're just going to share the full screen. So if you guys have ever checked out our new website, funny enough, On February 29th, Leap Day, we had a grand opening to our brand new website and a fun brand party here at the studio. So this website is brand new for the most part, and we haven't been able to really show it off since everything that's been going on in the world. But it is all up to date. So if you go to livewonderful.com, you will see all the different classes that we're offering. The first page talks about the beginner classes. So we have group classes here in Orlando. You can do private lessons. You can also do private lessons online with Alicia and or myself. And then we also have, there's our cheat sheet we always talk about. I know some of you already have that great gift. We also have our Lightroom workshop. And here's what we're doing here locally. So we are going to dive back into our visual storytelling tours. There are 2 parks here that have never closed. They are wide open and ready for us to go have fun. Oops. The first one is Lake Eola. So this tour is actually on sale right now for $45. We are doing this tour as well as the Sunset Tour, also on sale for $45. Those are going to be next Saturday, May 9th. I believe it's May 9th, right? Let me just check. The date. Am I right on that date? Hold on, I'm pulling up my calendar now. Yes, May 9th. So the visual storytelling tour will be in the afternoon. The night tour obviously will start just before sunset. So those of you who love taking sunset photos, we are going to have a blast at this one if you want to join us. And then we do have our beginner classes here in Orlando. They're going to start the same day. And we're doing those at least once a month on Saturdays, as well as, where'd it go? Oh, here it is. Alicia, will you type into the chat box there, livewonderful.com/tours. This is the page, guys, that has all of our outdoor fun tours going on, okay? So Alicia's going to be in town on the weekend of May 16th. And we're going to be doing a beginner portrait workshop. It'll be a combination of all our great beginner classes as well as diving into portrait photography and hopefully some photo editing as well. And then we have our macro photography at Neat Gardens on June 13th. The rest of these classes on here are whenever you want to schedule them. They are open to us, to everybody, okay? So let's go have some fun with our cameras. Who's ready? Who's ready to dive back in and really start shooting together? We'll see you guys here on Friday. The private online classes, Donna, they're $150. It's a 2-hour class. And if you've already taken our beginner course, your private lesson is actually going to be completely customized to what you want. So we actually give you a questionnaire. We talk ahead of time and make sure that we organize that private lesson just for you. If you've never taken a class with us and you want to do the online beginner class, it's $150. You get the whole workshop and the cheat sheet as well. So we are doing the group class online on a Wednesday, May 4th. So if you want to join that one, it's just $25. It's set up very much like this. One-on-one, no video chat involved, but you do get the chat for interacting, and we just go through the presentation in about a 2-hour time frame. So there's a couple different ways you can learn the DSLR class online, as well as, like we said, private lessons. So Alicia's available as well to do private lessons, and myself. Doesn't matter where we're located in the world. We can always help you out. Lens sizes for the moon. Big, big, big. 200 millimeters or higher, Arlene, if you want a lens for the moon. Any other questions, guys? We will see you guys here again on Friday at noon. We have a fun photo tip that's going to wrap up this week. And if you guys want to share your shots that you're getting, if you're on Facebook or Instagram, tag your photos, #LiveWonderful. We will feature you. I'd love to see what you guys are shooting. Show off your photos. And we'll see you again soon. Okay, everyone? Let me...
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for joining me, Alicia.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you.
Questions, just reach out.
Yes, this is recorded. We'll share this with you all again. We're gonna go post it over on our YouTube channel as well. Okay.
All
Bye,
right.
everyone. Thanks for joining us.